everybody's going to feel like they're behind somebody. It doesn't matter. You could see it in the rich elites. You could see it in the politics. They're listening.
My hand was going off. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I wonder who. If God could turn Saul to Paul, then he can change your name and he could flip your life around.
We all do different things, and just because you do one thing and I do something else doesn't mean I'm behind you or you're behind me.
That's never going to go away, and that's ultimately why.
Hey, welcome back to Growing Up Kingdom. My name's Daniel, and I'm so happy that you're here. If you've been looking for a place where you feel like you can be encouraged, where you feel like you can grow in your confidence, this right here is an absolutely great place to do that. So yeah, make sure that you stick around if this is anything that's really interesting to you. Today, I've got a guest on the podcast, and that's different. That's new. I've never ever done that before, but we got Josh Awwad here. He was just telling me you say it like a wad of cash. I just think that's hilarious.
It's my gamer tag, actually.
So if you guys see a wad of cash online somewhere, then you know who it is.
That's for sure me.
Yeah, Josh is the kind of guy I feel like anytime we talk, we're always talking about something interesting, something, I don't know, something theological or something philosophical or something. So I said, hey, you know what? I want to start having guests on the podcast. I want to go try out this new room. And I was like, hey, you want to come along? And he said, bet.
Yeah, simple as that.
So here we are. I just activated my Siri. Look at that. That's crazy.
They're listening to us, bro.
They're listening to us.
They're always listening.
Always listening to us. Yeah, so I guess that's my introduction for you, but I'd love to hear a little bit from you for yourself. I think obviously as we go through, I'm going to be talking more and more about you, right? All the different stuff you've done. It's really cool, but you give me just a little bit about you so the viewers know who you are.
Well, as you said already, my name is Josh Awwad. I want to cash on PlayStation if you guys want to have me or anything. I'm a founder of an athletic wear brand, Rep Built. Repetition builds success, and Rome wasn't built in the day. And in the middle of all that repetition and all that building, you got to keep Christ at the center, and that's the fundamental value of my company. Not only that, a little bit about me. Growing up, I grew up in the church. My dad was a pastor. We moved to Palestine when I was 7 years old, and we lived there till I was 9. Lived in the West Bank, about an hour south of Jerusalem, I believe. I got to check again, but I believe that's kind of what it was. And I actually went to school in Israel every day, so I'd have to cross the border constantly. So it was a real experience getting to be over there, going to see like the Holy Land and everything, going to Jerusalem, Sea of Galilee and all that. It was a great experience, and I'm glad I went. I wish I could go back right now, but just the way the world is, I am not going anywhere, bro. But yeah, just growing up a pastor's kid, in the church. I got baptized when I was 13. I felt the Holy Spirit tell me I should, so I did that. Yeah. And I'm here now. We'll get a little more into that. My dad was actually huge influence onto me, specifically for like theological purposes. And since he was a pastor, he had very interesting insights on a lot of things.
That's kind of cool because I feel like when you have a dad or anyone like right in your family, right, who you're able to go to for that, I think it's really, 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 really cool. I think the first time we met, honestly, I think I'm gonna embarrass myself a little bit. I met you and I was like, hey, you know what? I wonder if this guy's got anyone discipling him. I wonder if I could do that, right? And then we met, and then, bro, you were talking about all this stuff. I was like, you got everything.
Yeah, it's kind of a cheat code.
And yeah, that's awesome, right? Like same for me, right? My parents, if I got questions, I'll go to them and I'll be like, hey, what does this mean?
Yeah.
I don't know about this. I just read this and this doesn't really match up. And for those of you watching, like if you don't have that, right, in a family, like, if you don't have a dad or a mom or an uncle or an aunt who's really into the faith like that or who understands things like that, I would totally encourage you to really go out and find someone to disciple you, right?
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of people who could disagree with that. I don't think a lot of people do it, though. Mm-hmm. That's another topic for another time, right? Discipleship.
It's so important, so important.
But, where do I find someone to disciple me? If you go to a youth group, right, just start asking around there. Different people, even if you go to a church and you find someone, it doesn't have to be the lead pastor. It doesn't have to be the youth pastor. Find someone you think is more ahead, theologically, someone maybe who's been in a walk with the Lord longer. And obviously, right, comes with discernment and knowing who the right person is to ask and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess that's my first point for this already.
Yes, that's enough.
Find yourself someone to disciple you because it's really important. Anyways, your dad, he set that kind of like as a baseline for you, right? So I guess that must have kind of encouraged you to keep looking at things for yourself, right? And finding things. If you had questions, I assume those questions were probably like welcomed, right? Like, hey, I got a question, Dad. What about this? Yeah.
Yeah. So all the time, like, I mean, especially now, I'm asking more questions now than I ever have before. Typically, it was always here and there or whatever. But, you know, growing up a pastor's kid, PK is what we say in our special group now, feeling. But, you know, there's two ways you could grow up as a pastor's kid. There's one way you could become the pastor yourself, or the exact opposite of that. And there's typically, I mean, everybody kind of knows this. It's kind of infamous, and unfortunately that is the case. I've seen it. You know, I'm glad I'm not on this end, but, you know, I'm trying to figure out exactly where I am. And, you know, typically when you're growing up in the faith, your dad is a pastor, you know, everything's just kind of fed to you.
Yeah.
And so you're just kind of led to just like, oh, just believe it. Just see it the way that it is. You know, it's just fact. Don't question it. Just do it. That's kind of how people think things were like. And I'm not going to lie, that's how things were for a while. For a long portion of my life, like, I was just going with the flow. I got baptized when I was 13, which was the best decision ever, right? I mean, I definitely made that decision consciously. I didn't make that feeling pressured or anything. But, you know, it gets to a certain point where, you know, maybe I got to do the research for myself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, everybody's got to grow up. You know, you're not going to be a kid forever. You got to figure out the truth, because sometimes, you know, your parents or your grandparents might say something, or you might hear something on the news. You're like, wait, that isn't true, or wait, that isn't true.
Yeah.
So is this theological stuff that my dad is telling me, is it this true as well?
Yeah.
And I mean, thank God I know it's true now, but, you know, from those questions in my mind stemming from like, is this the truth? Did I really actually start, you know, really diving in and asking questions and, you know, researching the Bible and everything in it for myself?
Yeah. I feel like it's so easy sometimes just to get fed something, right? Especially when, it's gonna sound wrong, but when it's so easy sometimes, it almost becomes harder in the end for a lot of people. Where if it's like, hey, this is what it is, 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 then eventually it becomes like, okay, this is what it is, until you hear something else, or you see something else, something makes you doubt something, and all of a sudden your whole world's shaking. Like, hey, if that wasn't true, then what if this wasn't true? And if that wasn't true, what if this wasn't right? And that's where it's so important just to, at some point, you just got to understand it and start looking at it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we both had to do eventually, right? So we couldn't just rely on our parents forever to be like, okay, yeah, you know, the Bible's true because the Bible's true, and the Bible's true because we tell you it's true. I mean, not that my parents did that all, right? They were always very happy to break down all the theological stuff, both of ours, right? But at some point, you just got to be like, it's not what my parents are saying anymore. It's not what anyone else is saying. It's like,
It's your life.
exactly.
God made you, right? And so he has a purpose for you. Might as well, you know, look into him, right?
Exactly.
And, you know, it says all these things. God has a plan for you. You are special in God's eyes. He knew you before you were even formed in the womb. So there's a lot of things he knows about you. So why wouldn't you want to know more about him? Why wouldn't you want to know the truth about that, right?
Yep. It's so awkward. I got an itch.
No, that's all good. You can cut it out.
Oh, cut it out or leave it in for a joke.
Yeah.
You know, even podcast hosts get a scratch somewhere, you know. They just gotta.
Joe Rogan. You should have Joe Rogan on here, bro. He would be an interesting.
Who knows? Eventually.
He's been, you know, really interested.
Yeah, I know.
In things faith-based. I know he had Wes Huff on his podcast like a year.
I've heard about that.
And Mel Gibson's podcast. That was one of my favorite ones. The one with Mel Gibson. They talked about, you know, they just talk about Jesus. You know, this guy gets executed publicly.
Yeah.
And everybody sees it. And then he comes back 3 days later like nothing ever happened. Like, talk about baller, bro. That's crazy, dude. No one's ever done that before. And the thing is, in the time of the past, in those days, it even says it in the Gospel of Luke, there are other people claiming to be divine at this time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with those people, they have a huge movement. But when they die, the movement dies with them.
And that's the big thing. I mean, if we're looking specifically at Jesus, right? I mean, again, there were so many other people claiming this and claiming that and doing all this stuff. But I mean, there's so much stuff there where it's like, I got it. There's a lot of stuff, right? If you wanted to fake this, you could. If you wanted to fake that, you could. But there's a lot of stuff where it's like, okay, this is some serious stuff. I mean, died, rose again,
which is a very bold claim.
which is a very bold claim.
That's like the cornerstone of Christianity.
Very bold claim. And then obviously, right, you have all sorts of different theories like, oh yeah, you know, they stole the body, and then
They're listening.
My
again,
son
bro.
just going off.
Let's
It's
talk
crazy.
about
It's
Jesus. I
crazy.
wonder who.
right, it said, hey, they stole the body. Hey, you know, this happened. Hey, he got up and walked off.
Yo, like to any
Wait a
to
minute.
anybody, if you weren't in the faith, if you knew nothing about God and you heard that as a rational thinker, you're like, what the heck is this? You're talking about this guy got publicly executed, beaten, torn apart. He's in a tomb, rolled behind like a 2-ton rock, a boulder. He ain't getting out. What are you talking about? But that's
You
just
know,
the facts.
he just got up. He walked. I mean, like, what are we talking about?
That's what makes the story so special. It's not just the story. It's
Yeah.
like the gospel,
right.
the good news.
Yeah. And then over 500 people see him ascend into heaven. I mean, hey, I'm not there, but I'm sure there were a lot of people there. I mean, 500 people, I'm sure people were talking about that for days. Hey, did this really happen? Hey, did that really happen? And I'm sure if it hadn't happened, we would have heard about it from at least one of the 500 people who was like, you know, I kind of saw the strings behind him, you know, as he went up, as I lifted him up, there was like this little malfunction. It kind of stopped it for a little bit.
There's a lot of theories that go behind the resurrection. A very common one stems from, you know, it's in a lot of other faiths like Islam, for example. They say that, you know, in the Quran it says that Allah made it seem like Jesus was crucified and, you know, he hid away. But that's kind of I don't know about that, you know, like then that would make God a deceiver, and God doesn't lie. He can't do that. That's not in his nature. So, you know, Jesus had to have been crucified. And not only that, it's not just in the Bible. There are Roman inscription tablets of Jesus of Nazareth, who was executed under decree of Pontius Pilate, who was the governor of Judea, the region that Jesus and, you know, the Hebrew people lived in at the time. There are Roman inscription tablets, and there's also a Jewish historian named Josephus, or Josephus, however you pronounce it. He talks about Jesus of Nazareth. They say he was the Christ, is what he says.
Yeah, read Josephus is really interesting when you
Yes.
when you look at all
the
that
other
stuff.
the other people as well,
Yeah.
who had their movements, but they're all very simple. He doesn't really go too into it. It's maybe like 3-4 sentences. He talks about each of them, including Jesus, and then that's it.
And it's fascinating, right, to see it there. And even like all the rest of the things you read, right? You talked about the Roman inscriptions, all that stuff. Like a lot of these people were some people who genuinely didn't give a rip, and some people who, you know, they would have benefited from the complete other side of the narrative. And yet it all still works together. The funny is, we weren't even planning on talking about this. We just went here somehow. We just went here.
I guess it talks about. I guess that is a part of like the history of the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, you know, during the time after Jesus, right? Like after his ministry, after he ascended, it was oral tradition. And as you know, there were people killing Christians. There were martyrs. They were, you know, John was boiled alive, but he survived. And then they exiled him to an island off the coast of Greece. And then God said, hey, write all this down. And that's how we have the book of Revelation.
That's like such, I mean, I'm just going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Imagine that life for a second. There's so many of us who are like, I'm on fire for God. Like,
Are you literally on fire for God?
like, bro was in a boiling pot.
And he survived.
And he walks off like, okay, he
lived.
It's not like he was, you know, like carried on a mat 2 days and then died.
No, bro. He lived.
He lived. He still did things after that. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, look, he temporarily survived, you know, just for a little bit. So he was able, you know, to like write another letter, and then he croaked, you know, from the, no.
He lived, bro. He got boiled alive. But it's sad hearing about all the other disciples. You know, the first martyr was Stephen. And, you know, Saul killed him. Or Saul watched him. I got to read Acts again.
Watched him, stood back and watched.
Yeah. But then, you know, Saul turns to Paul. And, hey, if God can turn Saul to Paul, then for y'all watching, if God could turn Saul to Paul, then he can change your name and he could flip your life around 100%.
Yeah.
Like, this guy dedicated his life to learning about Christians and what they do, where they hang, everything about their faith, just so he could kill them. this guy was like, this guy was a demon, bro. Like he was bad, dude. And like he did all this strictly just because he wanted to kill them. And then all of a sudden he's like, hey, I'm good now. Imagine how the disciples felt, bro.
And I mean, he even talks about that for a little bit, right? Like, you know, he has this whole experience, and then there's a lot of people who are like, I don't know if this is true or not. Like, did you really? And I think it's just such a beautiful thing because people will judge you. And I don't want to say this to be like, you know, only God can judge me, right? Like it's an excuse for sin. That's not what I'm saying at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying though is sometimes we judge ourselves so harshly, like, you know what, there's no way God could use me, like after this and after that. And sometimes we do have doubts. It sounds so cliche, but sometimes we really are like, yo, like I did this, I did do this, you know, I still feel bad about this. And we're like, I really don't know if God would want to use me. I know people who are like, nah, you know, God's got the wrong guy. Like I'll go to church on Sunday, maybe I'll invite some people.
And you know who was just like that? You know who said, God, you got the wrong guy? Moses. I
got to stutter. I can't talk.
literally Moses, bro. Like in Exodus 3, when God is you know in the burning bush talking to Moses is like literally haggling with God, saying like, I don't want to do this. He objects to him like I think like 10 times or something like that. I don't know. And then he's like, oh, what if they don't believe me? And then the whole I am thing, bro. But
yeah,
dude, seriously, like Moses is a great example of, you know, aside from Saul, Moses is a great example of, you know, if you think God has the wrong person, he definitely doesn't. God can use you.
Yeah, and he can. And there's no reason to think, oh, you know, he can't. Because I feel like he's given all of us really like different gifts. And it's so cliche and everyone says it. And I feel like it's always told to like little Christian kids, like, don't worry, sweetie. You don't have to worry about what everyone else is doing because, you know, God gave you your unique gifts. And it's something we say all the time in church. Hey, I mean, I've been talking about building a merch company or creating a brand or starting a business forever. I mean, you walk out here, you know, sporting your own shirt. I mean, it's like, okay, see, like, we all do different things. And just because you do one thing and I do something else doesn't mean I'm behind you or you're behind me.
Everybody's going to feel like they're behind somebody. It doesn't matter. You could see it in the rich elites. You could see it in the politics. Somebody is always that's why wars happen. It's literally the whole point. If somebody thinks they're behind somebody else, then that's the whole reason people get super insecure about that stuff. So no matter what, no matter how rich you are, if you keep chasing money, you're never going to be satisfied. You're always going to feel like you're behind. There's always one step that you have to get to. And that's never going to go away. And that's ultimately why we need Jesus, because he is the ultimate fulfillment of that. Realizing that you are the way that you are because he created you that way. And his plan for you, if it's rich, if it's poor, if it's middle class, it doesn't matter. As long as you are sticking with him, that's all you need.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. And I feel like we need to get to that. We need to understand that. And yeah, I'm trying to think of a good way to tie this all together because I feel like we've talked about so many different things. I want to give you guys a challenge. I want to leave you with something where you're like, you know what? I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this tomorrow. I think the first thing I think we talked about was growing up, you know, in the faith and hearing about all sorts of different things, hearing this and hearing that. At some point, you got to understand that this isn't my parents' faith. This isn't my pastor's faith. This isn't Daniel's podcast's faith. This is, you got to open your Bible. You got to read it for yourself. You got to start studying history and deciding, do I really believe this or do I not? We've all had to do that at some point. And some people are scared, like, if I really do look into the history, if I really do start reading for myself, I'm worried I'm going to start doubting it more.
That's not the case at all.
That's not.
I just want to. I was the exact same way. I was the exact same way. I said, if this is taking me away from it, at least I want to know the truth, right?
Yep.
And the truth is, Jesus was legit. He fulfilled all the prophecies. He died publicly. He rose from the dead, appeared to 500 people, and is sitting at the right hand of God right now. And he's gonna come back.
Yep.
All right.
And I'm convinced the more and more you study, the more and more you look, the more and more not afraid to like do the research for yourself, that's the conclusion you're going to end up with. I think this was a really, really fruitful test conversation. I don't know what you guys think. Y'all let me know. If you guys are like, no, this format sucks, go back to the boring format where you sit in your room and just stare at the camera all the time, then let me know. But I don't
We'll
think...
go to walk or something, or we'll play basketball, or we'll work out or something. I don't know.
We're lifting and we're like talking at the same time. We're on the bench and we're like,
I have clip-on mics.
what does the Bible say about...
I have clip-on mics. We get that.
I do too. Yeah, right.
I would have been mine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This has been so much fun.
Actually, yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
I love this. This is really fun. Gotta do it again, bro.
Gotta do it again, for sure. Again, I feel like I want to hype up a couple of stuff that you're doing. I mean, the biggest thing right now is your brand, Rep Built, right? Not sponsored at all. Otherwise, I'm going to have to say, like, we're not getting anything out of this. I'm just like, hey, you know what? Let's mention this. He's doing great stuff. If you want to be able to, look good and, be able to rep your beliefs at the same time,
Literally.
then... I made a pun. I didn't even mean to.
Literally.
Then... yeah, check his stuff out because it's really cool. Where can you find it?
You guys can literally just look up my website, repbuilt.store. Right now, everything's pretty available. I got some pieces that I'm going to be dropping relatively soon. If not, you can look us up on Instagram, repbuiltofficial, and or you can just look up my Instagram. It's in my bio.
Hey,
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you know someone who needs to hear this conversation about anything we talked about at all, then make sure you share it with them. Make sure to go ahead, like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you can on the platform you're listening on. Rate the show on Spotify. If you're watching on Spotify, go ahead and rate it. There's so many people who watch, but a rating really means a lot. Same with YouTube, hitting the subscribe button really does mean a lot if you want to see more of this content. We're going to have a lot more guests on this whole summer. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited too.
I'm really excited for it. I know you're going to be watching. I know you're going to be excited to see it.
Stay tuned, bro. I'm going to want to be on with some of those people, bro. I'm going to ask you, bro. I'm going to make you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been a good conversation. If you got anything out of it, leave it in the comments if you're on a platform that allows comments. We want to hear what you got out of it, what this made you think about. But until then, we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace out.
Bye.